Hey there, CS360 students. So in this recording, I'm going to try to walk you through getting your Android Studio environment set up. So first thing you're going to do is Google download Android Studio. You can see it takes you to developerandroid.com/studio. So go ahead and click the download Android Studio. You can see at this time that it was almost a gig worth of data, so it'll take a little bit of time to download. So once that's downloaded, go ahead and run the installer. So I already have Android Studio installed on my machine, so cross your fingers that this will work on my end. But we're just going to navigate through the setup following the default installations. So we're going to want Android Studio. If you do not have an Android device, then you're going to need to install the Android virtual device. If you already have your own personal Android device, a phone or a tablet, then you do not need to install the virtual device there. So I'm going to click next. Just again, go through and click next and let everything go with the default installations. Okay. So I'm going to pause it here and I'll come back when this is finished. Okay, so again, since I already have Android Studio installed on my machine, as that installer runs through, again, you just want to click all the defaults and so forth. Things that we will eventually need to take care of. So as you can see, I am inside Visual Android Studio here. So if I go to Tools, SDK Manager, so things that we need to make sure that we get installed is an Android SDK. So you can see that I've got Android SDK here. So platforms, you can see that I've got the most current version right here, 33. Depending on your class, it might be 28, 29. It could be any of these. So I know for the current class that I'm teaching, it's 28. So you would go ahead and install that. To be honest, in the big scheme of things, I don't think it matters if you're using a previous version. I think we can probably just get away with using the most current version of the API. So I would install an SDK. I'm going to go ahead and just let it default to its location. And then as far as this first screen, so this is the different SDKs that we can target. So I would definitely want to target one of the later ones here. Make sure that the hide obsolete packages, uncheck that. So I want to see. So again, this is just the SDKs. Next thing I'm going to do is go to the SDK tools. And then I want the build tools that are associated with the platform that I've chosen. So again, on this one, I've got 33 installed. So I want the build tools that are related to it as well. For those of you that are going to be running the Android virtual device, then you're going to want the Android emulator installed. You can see that I have the platform tools installed. Again, I'm looking for the version that matches the SDK that I have there. Again, if I am using the emulator, I'm probably going to have the accelerator installed. And then another one that should be installed is the Google USB driver here. So that way, if I'm using my own Android device, I can just simply plug and play. As far as everything else, I don't think I need anything else installed. So I'm going to go ahead and apply. I'm going to install that Google USB driver. And so this will take, depending on how much you're downloading, if you're installing one of the Android devices, that'll take some time. Okay, so that is getting my Android SDK set up. The other thing to look at is if I go to Tools, Device Manager. So depending on when you set up your installation. If I want to create an Android virtual device, I can go to, again, Tools, Device Manager, and I can click Create Device. I'm going to create a phone, and I can choose like what kind of phone I want it to be. The Pixel 6 came out not too long ago, about a year ago, so I can target, whatever kind of device I want to. I'm going to click Next. And then here, this is where I have to download a system image. So you can see I already have a version S. It's already installed on my end. Otherwise, you would need to download a system image. These are typically about a gig. They take a while to download and install. So you have to download and install the image. And then once I have it downloaded and installed, I select it. I click next. I can give it a name. Again, I've already done all this. I would then click finish. But if I go to device manager, so again, I should be able to go tools, device manager, I can see I have this virtual device available here. And if I click the run button, it will eventually start it up right down here. It should have started it up. Something, it must be open somewhere else. That's probably what the problem is. Um, I had just finished up there we go, here it is. So there's the virtual device. I know that there is a way to make this get bigger. And if so if I expand that or minimize that, here's where I can get my Android virtual device to be bigger. Okay. All right. So this should hopefully get you up and running with Android Studio. If you have questions, make sure you reach out well in advance of the first assignment being due.